Welcome to Fresh Catholic, a podcast for those who are converting, reverting, or simply want a fresh perspective of the Catholic faith to help them to open their hearts and minds to become closer to the love and goodness of Christ. My daily prayer is that I will be a bright light to others, to be filled with the love and light of Christ, so that when people look at me, they see Him radiating out from me for His glory.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lori Balderas, and I'm so happy you're here. Well, life is funny, isn't it? We had a whole other podcast set up for today, and as it would turn out, the guest was unable to come at the last minute, and so we had to shift gears really fast. And so now I came up with a whole new podcast episode for today. So if I'm a little bit disheveled, it's because I'm trying to bounce back. And so we decided that what could be the topic of the day? And so we kind of came up with the theme of triumphs and tragedies of summer 2025. But I kind of decided to put a little slant on it and call it Rally Summer. Rally Summer. So bear with me on this and see what I'm going to talk about here. So I had to rally this summer. People rallied this summer and were rallying. So when you think of rally, what is that? What pops into your head? Well, we got to rally because things aren't going the way we want. We got to bounce back. So here's the definitions of rally. Rally is to recover or cause to recover in health, spirits, or poise. So that's why I said I have to rally. And I'll explain all these in a little bit here. Another definition for rally is to bring or come together in order to support a person or cause for concerted action. Okay. The next one is a mass meeting of people making a political protest. I think you see where I'm going with this. There was lots of rallying in summer of 2025 in my personal life and in the world at large. So, when things come your way, when things don't go your way, when you have expectations, which I often do, sometimes they don't come through. I have this happen quite often. I don't know about you, but I certainly do. And I think it's important to be hopeful. I think it's important to look forward to things and have expectations to some degree. But I've also learned that we're not in charge, are we? And this seems like a simple thing like, well, of course, Lori, you're not in charge. God is in charge. Yes, I know. But I am human and I do get caught up in, oh my gosh, can you imagine if this happens? Oh my gosh, this is going to be the best thing ever. And I do get let down sometimes, and maybe you feel the same way. So you have to learn to rally. And I really do like that word rally. I remember my mom telling me when things wouldn't go my way or when I would get knocked down quite often, figuratively and literally. My mom would say, you got to rally, you got to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, move forward. I can hear myself telling my children that, and I've told my grandchildren that. So, when you're knocked down, it is from a disappointment. You're disappointed. It's hard when you really get your hopes up about something and they don't come through, or when you're taken for granted, or when you're crushed by bad or challenging news. You got to learn to rally. That's where resilience comes in. I don't know if you know people that really struggle with bad news or bad things happening and it crushes them. Maybe they are treated poorly and what they do is they curl up in a ball, they retreat. They go under their covers. They seek out drugs and alcohol, or I don't know, they go into relationships they shouldn't go into because they're devastated by news, or they're not able to rally. They're not able to bounce back. And I know that I have moments like that. I'll curl up in a ball. I admit it. I'll go under the covers. I admit it. I also have had to learn to rally. I've had to learn to, not just for myself, sometimes we have to rally for other people, especially if you're a parent or a grandparent, or you would like to be a good friend to somebody, or of course, if you're trying to help out your spouse. We have to learn to be resilient. We have to learn to be strong for ourselves and for other people. Otherwise, we just get crushed. And I think that that's kind of easy to do in this day and age. People really like to pulverize us, don't they? They really like to bulldoze over us, don't they? And we certainly don't want to be the people doing that. But if that happens to you, you have to learn to rally. And what are some positive outcomes of rallying? Well, when you have to go through a struggle or a trying time, it's different when you rally. To me, that's like a strength move. Like, I imagine like my dad telling me, "Rally, Lori, rally," and like he has his fists in a positive way. He's not attacking me with fists, but come on, Lori, you can do it. It's different than simply recovering from something. Recovery is a strength. Recovering from a trauma or a drama, that is a really valuable thing. But when you rally, it involves more of a significant transformation, because you're rising like a rising phoenix. Or you think of when somebody gets knocked down and they push themselves up. That takes a lot of strength. That takes a lot of fortitude and inner strength to pick yourself up. And I think when you get knocked down a lot and you do learn to rally, it really helps you to also learn empathy and sympathy and compassion for other people, so that maybe you don't want other people to get knocked down. You can teach other people to also rally or to bounce back. So you might be asking, well, Lori, what have you had to rally through lately? I mean, on previous podcasts, I've certainly talked about the traumas and dramas in my life, in my past, my accidents, certainly my divorces, my son having a mental illness, my other son, coming out as gay, just lots of setbacks in my personal and professional life. Losing my dad was a huge setback and a huge thing to rally through. And lately, through the summer, the things that I've had to rally through are some major disappointments. And without sounding like a whiny child, I do think it's important to express when you're disappointed about something or someone that causes you, to struggle and causes you to second guess things. I don't like to second guess God. I don't like to say, well, God, put my hands on my hips. God, I want my way, and my way is the only way. I know my way is not the only way. And when you are hopeful about things, we should be filled with hope. When things don't swing our way, it's hard to not be disappointed, like I said before. So the things that I've struggled with this summer are, I had some pretty high hopes and expectations that I was going to be going to Italy on a pilgrimage in September with Father Matthew for 11 days on this beautiful pilgrimage. I had aligned with a travel company, Trinity Tour Travels. I was really enjoying working with them. I was really excited that Father Matthew and I were going to go over to Italy and have this just amazing experience. I've never been to Italy. That's where my dad is from. My ancestry is in Italy. I've had a dream since I became Catholic to go on this pilgrimage, or to go to Italy, but then this pilgrimage was presented to me. And to me, it was a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I certainly can't afford to travel to Italy without being, aligned with this company. And so it just seemed like a dream come true. And I was really preparing for this trip, really getting my mind set on this, and even studying Italian. And Father Matthew and I, and Trinity Tour Travels, did everything we could in our power to get the number of pilgrims we needed to go on this trip. And sadly, we were unable to get the required number of people to go. And so our trip got canceled. And, I was really upset and very devastated by this news, and just cried and cried to the head and the owner of Trinity Tour Travels, Eddie. And he was so loving and kind to me. And he just said, Lori, you did everything you could, and it's not in God's plan that you go, and you need to accept that. And I really felt he was correct, obviously. But I did need to cry it out. I think it's important when you have emotions to cry them out. And if you're disappointed, you should cry about it and vent it out and see it through. But I guess, my added disappointment was that I don't feel that I got support from my church and my parish, that I not only attend all the time, but I work at the church. I serve the church a lot. And I just felt there were certain things and people that didn't support me in this trip and this pilgrimage and this thing that I was so looking forward to, not just for me, but for the other pilgrims. We did have some people that signed up, not enough, but because we didn't get enough numbers, their trip was canceled. And that also made me sad for them, because they were probably looking forward to this trip as much as I was. And when I first started on this, idea of doing this pilgrimage, I had no doubt in my mind that I would get support from my own parish. And when I didn't, that was very disappointing to me and very confusing to me. And so I just had to rally about it. And I had to just realize that it just wasn't what was meant to be. And it's not to say that maybe someday I won't get another opportunity, but I just hope and pray that the people that decided not to support me in this, I hope that they realize that it was a very sad decision, in my opinion, and I wish they would have helped me out. That would have been a very charitable thing to do. So that was very disappointing. And the other disappointment was that Simon and I had decided that we were going to be going on a missionary trip. We had talked about this. We've done episodes on it where we were, we got a truck and we were going to get a fifth wheel. We were going to drive around the United States, and we were going to, just spread our mission of Fresh Catholic and, talk to converts and reverts, and talk to people excited about the faith, talk to people who are struggling with the faith. We want to do this documentary, just to draw people to the church and to the faith. And I love being Catholic so much, and this is why I do the podcast. And so this was our plan. And again, it got that plan we had, God shifted our gears. And so again, at first that was really, that was a struggle, because we had, made this huge investment in this truck and started plotting and planning out our missionary trip. And it was something we were excited about, and yet it didn't happen, and we're still here. And so I did a lot of praying about it, and I was like, God, we want to serve you, and we want to spread the word about you, and this is what we felt called to do. But we also have to know that maybe that's not what we were supposed to do. Maybe, not maybe, I'm very sure at this point that God switches our gears, gives us a detour, reroutes our plan and our goals, because he knows the ultimate goal. And we humans, get very, I'll just speak for myself. I get very caught up in, well, this is what I want. And I see it so clearly. And wouldn't you want that for us, Lord? Because you love us so much. And wouldn't you want us to be happy and traveling around talking about you? But we just have to take it a step at a time. A few months ago, Deacon Don Huntley, who's very important in our lives, and we really value his opinion, he came to do an episode with us, and we asked him about discernment and how do we know what we're supposed to be doing and where we're supposed to be going. And he just said, just take it a step at a time. If something works, great. And then take the next step. Does that work? Great. And so that is what we've done. We've rallied and we sold the truck. We got another Sprinter van. We used to have one. We're making some plans of what we want to do next. Again, if God wants those plans to happen, they'll happen. We are kind of taking it more a step at a time. We do have a long range goal, which I hesitate to even bring up at this point. So we'll let you know it's a work in progress. But in the meantime, we are being active. We're not just sitting in a corner going, okay, God, well, we're just going to sit here in a corner and you're going to give us a sign and then we'll know what to do. No, we're taking Deacon Don's advice. I really value his advice and opinion. And so when we went to sell the truck, it sold rather quickly. When we went to buy the van, we got a good deal right away. So we're taking those steps. So I encourage you out there, if you have things that you're planning, let's say you thought you were going to get married and the marriage was put on hold. Let's say you got pregnant and you had a miscarriage and you're devastated. Work through the pain, work through the trauma, and then pick yourself up, rally, see what God has next for you. If, let's say you lost your job, or you have a career change, or you have to move, or there's some life-changing thing happening, or maybe it's not a life-changing thing. Maybe it's just you're trying to make it through your day to day. That's kind of what I'm doing at this point. Take it a day at a time. Lord, thank you for allowing me to wake up. Lord, please bless my day. Lord, please help me to go through any trials and traumas you have for me today. Let me offer up my trials and traumas to people who have it worse than I do. Please show me what you have planned for me, Lord, and I will rally. I will persevere. I will stay strong. I will have fortitude, and I will know that you're in charge, Lord, and I surrender to your will. I'm talking to you, but I'm mainly talking to me. So I think those are things, that we have to rally through. And, when things are a disappointment, when things are out of our control, when we do whatever we can and we try to put our best foot forward and we try to help others or guide others find our own way with the help of the Lord, obviously, we do have to sometimes ask others for help. We have to ask others for guidance. Of course we pray. Of course we, have God He's our guide. He's our leader. He's our compass. But it is good to ask others for help when you're struggling or when you're just trying to make it through the day or trying to figure out what your next steps are, what your plan is. Keep your eyes and ears open. But, when these disappointments kind of have come our way this summer, especially regarding the pilgrimage, it just kind of made us realize that we do need help. Not just us, not just Simon and Lori Balderas and the Fresh Catholic ministry, but all ministries need help. All ministries need support. All families need support. All parishes need support. We all need each other. We all need to help each other in whatever way we can. And so one of the things that Simon and I have realized, and we bring it up on occasion on the podcast, but I'm going to really send it out there today, is especially because we've come through the summer, and we're still here, we rallied, but we came through the summer. We don't get to go on the pilgrimage. That was a big thing that we, really had put a lot of energy and time into, and thought and hopes and dreams into. But now that that's not coming true for the moment, we are going to ask my listeners and the people who watch and listen to my podcast and listen to me and subscribe to me through Fresh Catholic on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the platforms, however you're listening or watching. We here at Fresh Catholic need your help and support. And sometimes people think, well, what can I do? What can I give? Well, collectively, it would be great if there's certain things that anybody can do. They don't cost a thing. They take maybe a moment of your time, and they would actually help our mission. And so what is it, you might ask? Well, we've said it before, and I'll say it again, but these are the things that you can do to help. If you simply go to my Instagram page, Fresh Catholic, or Facebook, Fresh Catholic, YouTube, it's all under Fresh Catholic. And as far as I know, we're the only Fresh Catholic out there. So if you would all you have to do is click a like button, like a thumbs up. If you could click that button, that helps. If you could subscribe, I think the word subscribe scares people. When you subscribe to YouTube or subscribe to a podcast, it doesn't cost anything. It's free. So if you subscribe to YouTube, that simply means that you're going to get maybe a little notice that says Fresh Catholic episode is available right now. And it also kind of makes you cool. It makes you like the Fresh Catholic Club. You're a subscriber. So if you could do that, if you go to Instagram, subscribe to the Instagram page. That way I'll come up in your feed every day. So if you could subscribe, that really helps. If you want to help us financially and monetarily, there's all different ways you can do that, which would be very helpful. Because I don't know if people realize, but this podcast is almost 3 years old. I started in January of 2023. And Simon and I have been doing this podcast with little or no financial support. We do have some Patreons, so thank you. Kisses to our Patreon subscribers. They pay an amount once a month. It ranges from $5 up to $250 a month. You can pay $5, $10, $25, $50, $100, $250. It's whatever you can afford. But that amount that just automatically is supporting Fresh Catholic, we put that into equipment costs or the costs it is to put the podcast on these channels. So we don't make any extra money. If anybody out there thinks that I'm rolling in dough from this podcast, that is just not happening. We are doing it as a mission, but it would be so helpful if you could support us. We also have, on occasion, people will sponsor an episode. And what that does is we take that sponsor money and we put it in to generate more views so that people all over the world are hearing and seeing this podcast to build up the kingdom. So for all my sponsors out there, when you sponsor a month, that could be anywhere from $25, $50, $100 or more. Anytime you sponsor Fresh Catholic, you could do that I could make a commercial for your business. I could make a commercial for your mission, your own ministry. I could do that. And that way you're helping Fresh Catholic and your own ministry. These things really, really would help us. So if you love the podcast, if you want to get the word out on it, it helps if you like, subscribe, which again is free, share with your friends. Say, oh my gosh, have you ever listened to Fresh Catholic? You should listen to it. You should watch on YouTube. You're going to love it. It's great. That would be so helpful. If you know anybody that would want to be a sponsor, please get the word out. If you want me to come talk to your groups, I would love to come talk about all different topics, again, to build the kingdom. So if any of these, if you pray about these, and these are ways that you could help Fresh Catholic, it would help us to go to the next level. We have over 51,000 subscribers all over the world. We're in 82 countries. I have 750 episodes of Fresh Catholic out there in the universe. So that's exciting in itself. So we are getting a lot of people that are watching and listening, but the support would be really helpful. The other thing is we have an online store, and Simon created all the merchandise on that store. With the holidays coming up, you could support Fresh Catholic by going to our online store and purchasing items there. We also have Fresh Catholic coffee, but we're doing a rebrand, and the rebrand is going to be called Be Fresh. So that's our new coffee. So keep an eye out for that. You can purchase that for yourself and others, and that helps support our ministry. So, you all have ministries out there. You're all getting support. Fresh Catholic needs support as well. So thank you for hearing me out on that. It's a desperate plea, but we do need it because we are putting in so many hours, which we're happy to do because, again, we're trying to build the kingdom. And our friend Charles Merritt is also a part of our mission, and he's on our website. So go check that out and lead people to that as well. So when we come back from this break, I will be talking more about the rallies that have gone on this summer. So we'll be right back. What is happening at Fresh Catholic? Thanks for asking. Well, we have a weekly podcast with lots of topics and guests, and Fresh Catholic Daily, the daily Mass readings. Listen on all platforms and watch on YouTube. I also do short videos every day on Instagram and Facebook at Fresh Catholic. Like, share, subscribe, rate, and review. These are such simple ways to help us out. The other ways you can support our mission of drawing people to the faith or back to the faith are by becoming a Patreon or sponsor. Also simple, but so needed. Our website, freshcatholic.com, has an online store with merchandise, a blog, comics, and Fresh Catholic courses with educator Charles Merritt, with the Hail Mary, the Our Father, the Virtues, the Ascension, the Magi, the Visitation, the Ten Commandments, Sacraments and Grace, Sin, Advent, Angels, Lent, Typology, and even some Bible study courses. Wow, that's a lot. Please share all of this with everyone you know and join the Fresh Catholic family. And remember, be focused, be faithful, and be fresh. And we're back. So unless you're living under a rock, you have probably noticed that there have been a lot of rallies this summer. All sorts of rallies. There's lots of people who are very upset and disgruntled about many, 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 many things. And, here in America, you are allowed to voice your opinion. That's one of the great things about being an American. And, I was never raised being a person that would go to rallies. I haven't really gone to a rally as an adult. I never took my children to rallies, certainly. I think it's good when people want to voice their opinions. I do not have a problem with that. But my own personal opinion is the rallies in the past few years have been, and actually in history, if you look back at rallies and protests, they typically are pretty loud and violent and chaotic, if you want to know the truth. So, I used to tend to think of a rally like in my innocent way of thinking of it, was a rally was like a rally at school. And a rally was to get people excited and like, oh my gosh, we have a football game tonight. Let's have a rally. Let's have a rally because we're doing a fundraiser. It always, in my opinion, when I was growing up, I thought a rally was a really, positive thing. Like, we're going to rally for this great cause and it's going to be a positive thing and everybody's going to feel great at the end of the day. But to me, these days, my own opinion is a rally has turned into a protest. Like there's rallies and there's protests. But when somebody says they're doing a rally, I tend to think that's a positive connotation. When people are doing a protest, I think that's a negative connotation. So I was being nice and charitable and saying we had a summer or the past few years of rallies, but that was just to go along with my theme of rallying summer. It's really been more of a protest summer. And I do think that it's unfortunate that protests turn into such a negative, hostile, chaotic event. And I don't know about you, but when we have rallies in our area, it really, I think it just draws everybody into a hateful place. And I don't know if that's the purpose and what people have in mind when they're going to these protests, that they're throwing things at people, they're attacking people, they're catching things on fire, they're burning our flag, they're spitting on people, they're shooting people, that to me is not getting somebody's point across. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I don't think that that's the best way to handle a situation. And I often wonder when I'm observing people protesting, when I'm seeing it on TV, I'm wondering what the positive outcome is of that protest. When all is said and done and people's property is ruined, people are hurt and harmed, people are made to feel less than, people are just physically attacked and verbally attacked. What is the positive outcome of that? I have yet to see, oh, we did this protest and this positive thing was a result. Maybe I'm wrong. I have not seen any positive outcome from all the protests. I just haven't. If anything, it feeds on more chaos. It adds more hostility and animosity and hatred. So I think we have enough hatred in the world. I don't think we need to add to it by protesting everything. If you want to have an opinion, perhaps you could write a letter to your congressman or to the higher ups in government. Maybe that's a way to get a more productive solution to things. I was trying to think, when you see people in a protest, typically they're so angry and out of control that they're not even willing to listen to reason. And it really does remind me of when a child is having a meltdown. We've all experienced this. We've either been the child, had a child who's done it, observed somebody who's having to deal with a child who's having a meltdown in a store or somewhere, and they just literally drop to the ground. They're hysterical beyond reason. You can't even talk to them. They can't even breathe. They're, I can't breathe. They won't even look at you. They're wailing around on the floor, flailing about. And there's really there's no finding a solution in that moment. I don't know about you, but what I've done in the past when a child does that is I'll scoop them up. Even if they're combating me and fighting me, I'll give them a hug. I try to give them a good solid hug, or I'll rub their hair, or I'll just hold them. I'll say, or rub their back. What do you need? Let's take a breath. Let's have some water. Let's go outside. Let's have a minute. It's going to be okay. Collect yourself. And typically when you can get a child to calm down, or a person who's hysterical to calm down, then perhaps you can have a calm conversation with them. Find out what's happening, what's going on. Please calmly tell me why are you in distress? What can I do to help you? What are some things we can do to find a way out of this feeling you're having? Ask them maybe, what is your fear? What are you upset about? Please verbalize, please communicate with me. What's the problem so that I can try to help you? Maybe you can't help them, but maybe you can find help for them, whatever it is. But my impression, what I'm viewing when people are in a protest, they're certainly not even willing to take a breath, take a sip of water, step to the side, try to convey in a calm way their fears, their anxieties, how they're feeling hurt, what do they need? How can we work together in order to find a solution? What are some ideas they might have for a solution? I have yet to see anybody doing that. When people are protesting, obviously they feel wronged. They feel out of control. They don't feel listened to. I think it is from a place of fear and a place of the unknown, and they feel they're being taken advantage of, or they are being dismissed or hurt and harmed in some way. All those feelings are very valid. We've all felt those feelings. When you don't feel like you're in control of something, you feel like somebody else is making decisions for you, or you don't know what the outcome is going to be of something. You feel somebody's taking something away from you, or they're going to hurt or harm you or someone you love, or you're going to be stripped from your family. I understand all that. But going out and attacking people and yelling at them and hurting them and harming them and hurting other people's property that they've worked hard for, that's not a way to get your point across. So again, perhaps, yes, maybe go have a rally, maybe have speakers that can tell their point of view without berating other people or without bashing other people unnecessarily. Maybe you can go say, this is why we feel the way they do. This is what we're hoping to accomplish. These are the things that we would like to see happen. Maybe if people did that, other people could go, oh, that's what they're upset about. Oh, actually, we can fix that. Actually, we can work on that. I mean, that's how you negotiate with a child. That's how you negotiate with somebody who's distraught. If somebody's going to jump off a ledge, you want to go over and try to talk to them in a calm way, try to give them some care, some attention, listen to what they have to say, and then try to help them to find a solution. You don't just go up and say, oh, you know what? You should jump. You should. Here, let me shove you. You don't do that. You go up, well, what can we do to help you? Calm the situation. Let's talk. Let's try to come up with some solutions. I think if we really want to help each other and we really want to work together and we really want to rally and make things a go and unite our country and our families and our relationships, these are the things I think we need to do. And I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here. People need to listen to another person's perspective. We all have our own perspective. We all have, well, this is why I think the way I do. This is why I do what I do. But maybe listen to the other person. Well, this is why I do what I do. This is why I think what I do. Okay. I'm sure I have things that I do that aren't always the best idea or maybe don't make sense to another person. And so do you. And so does another person. But it's good to hear other people's perspective of why they think the way they do. And then you can go, well, I understand that. Let me tell you my perspective. And then maybe you can discuss it. People need to be receptive to hearing and learning another person's point of view. That's really important. Just because we have our own point of view doesn't make it right. We might be following, I know as Catholic Christians, we're trying to follow what Jesus wants us to do. So that's our perspective. That's what we guide our life by. But if somebody else has another perspective, another point of view, we should listen and see why they think the way they do. It doesn't mean we have to agree with them, but we can listen. They can listen to us. They don't have to agree with us, but we can calmly listen to each other. We're allowed to have our own perspectives and our own point of view, but we don't have to yell at each other and spit on each other if we're not, having a common thought. People need to consider another's fears and anxieties and try to help them to find a positive solution and outcome. We all have baggage. We all have fears and anxieties from past traumas. I really don't know anybody in the world that hasn't had some trauma or bad thing that's happened to them. That's a human existence. We're in a fallen world. There's a lot of sin in the world. There's a lot of bad decision-making going on. And people have reasons for their fears and anxieties. And you don't want to discount somebody else's fears and anxieties just because you don't have that fear. My daughter used to be, I don't know, maybe she still is, deathly afraid of spiders. I'm not scared of spiders at all. But it doesn't mean that I should discount her fear and anxiety. I have a fear of heights. I have a fear of lots of things. But that doesn't mean another person who doesn't have those fears shouldn't, try to be understanding of my fears. They wouldn't want to mock or push those fears on me. I know a lot of people have a lot of insecurities. Their living situation is an insecurity. Their food and housing, clothing, are they going to get a job? Where are they going to live? Are their families going to be okay? All these things are typical, normal anxieties people have. So if you don't have those fears and anxieties, you should still be loving and kind to people who do and try to help them to find solutions to their fears and anxieties. And again, in order to live on this planet together as humans, as people who should be kind and loving and compassionate to each other, we do need to work together. We're so divided, and we don't need to be. We don't always get our own way. We just don't. And being hostile and violent to people isn't going to change things. You can see it's not changing things. When people are trying to do something good for you, trying to do something nice for you, trying to help you, how about you say thank you? How about you appreciate it? How about that? So I just want to say, kind of in closing, violence is not the answer to anything. Hostility is not the answer to anything. Death, hurting each other, killing each other, harming each other is not the answer to anything. But on a positive note, I want to also tell you that over the summer, as I was having disappointments and as I was struggling and I was trying to rally, the thing that was helping me to rally was I went to the Adoration Chapel one day, and when I go there, I'm very close with the Blessed Sacrament. It helps me really to hear Jesus, be close to him, and he's just been giving me the message, just look at me, Lori, just look at me. When other things are going wrong, when you're struggling, just look at me. I have it all handled. And so I've been trying, it's been hard because I have been really, really struggling. Borderline depression. That's been really hard on me because I'm not a depressive person. I like to be positive. I like to look to the positive. And I heard something somewhere, who knows, I don't know if it was YouTube or on Instagram, but I've been trying to just really focus on positive things on Instagram. That's been really helpful. I've canceled and eliminated negative things in people toxic things in people so that I'm not hearing a lot of negativity, because that's just not helping with my depression. So one thing they were saying is, don't miss out on these beautiful moments or things. So like, you have to take the time and stop. And like, when you see a butterfly, stop and look at that butterfly. When you hear a beautiful song, stop and listen to the beautiful song. When you have a beautiful meal or something that tastes delicious, stop and taste how delicious that is. When you have a feeling of something, like, let's say, a soft sweater or a warm bath or the sun on your face or a nice, something that you feel, stop and feel it. Live in the moment of that. We have to use our senses. We have to stop and just soak in the beauty that God provides for us with all of our senses. Stop and just be grateful for what He is doing for us. And look for positives. Look for the positive things in our world. They're everywhere. Focus on kindness. Focus on compassion. Focus on love. Focus on charitable acts. Focus on the Lord and what you can do to draw others to Him by leading a positive, beautiful existence with Him as your anchor and your compass. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful, blessed week. Try to rally if you're struggling. Try not to go to a lot of rallies that are more protests. Try to rally, be positive, and lift up Fresh Catholic in prayer, please. We need prayer and we need your support. And thank you all for coming today. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. Now go out and be a bright light in someone's life. And remember, be focused, be faithful, and be fresh. Fresh Catholic is produced, edited, and recorded in Ventura, California.